Welcome to another amazing episode of Raising Private Money. I'm Jay Connor, your host, also known as the Private Money Authority. And it's on this podcast that we talk about how to raise private money without ever asking for money. Well, how in the world do we do that? We're going to unpack that for you. And I've got a very, very special guest to join us on the show today. My guest has raised over $3 million in private money, primarily for commercial deals. And we're going to be talking with him about exactly how in the world does he go about raising private money? What are his favorite methods? How does he find his private lenders? How does he start conversations? All that kind of good stuff that I know you love for us to talk about. Well, his company buys commercial real estate using private money in Arizona, Tennessee, Texas, and his special focus is actually on 50 to 150 unit multifamily properties. So, as you have heard me say many, many times, it doesn't matter if it's single family houses, commercial, apartments, self storage, it's all the same money. It's just a matter of how we structure it for the deal. Well, in this episode, we're going to dive really, really deep and learn how my special guest, Ray Hightower, what his favorite ways are to raise private money right after this.
If you're a real estate investor and are wondering how to raise and leverage private money to make more profit on every deal, then you're in the right place. On Raising Private Money, we'll speak with new and seasoned investors to dissect their deals and extract the best tips and strategies to help you get the money, because the money comes first. Now here's your host, Jay Connor.
Oh, my lands. Hello, Ray Hightower. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Jay. I'm very glad to be here. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. I'm excited to have you here, Ray, because you had me on your show not too long ago, and I was so impressed. You're a fantastic interviewer and host. And of course, while I was on your show, I learned quite a bit about you and that all this millions of dollars that you've raised in private money. And I said, well, Ray, we got to continue the party and get you on my show because I want to interview you about how you've gone about raising private money. So before we dive into your favorite methods and how you attract private money into your world, let's go in your background for just a minute. You didn't start in real estate. You started in something very, very different. So
Yeah,
share with my audience your backstory.
sure. Yeah, thanks for having me. My backstory is in technology. I have a computer science degree. I worked for a couple of Fortune 500 corporations, and I started and ran a technology company, ran that company for a couple of decades. After 21 plus years, I sold that company, and now I'm in multifamily real estate. And we can drill down into any of those, but I know we have limited time. I want to respect your time and the time of the audience.
Oh, sure. Well, first, my curiosity, killed the cat and satisfaction brought him back. What's the bridge from technology to real estate investing?
Oh, yeah, yeah. You know, the bridge is this. When you're in tech, and you know this, and a lot of your listeners are going to know this too, the salaries are high. You know, you can earn a good living. And if you're running a company, you're paying higher salaries and you're paying higher fees to contractors or whomever you hire. So you don't really get to hold on to money. I used to tell people jokingly, I was more of a conduit for money than an equity builder. And so one difference between what I was doing in tech versus real estate, I still love tech, but I'm at the stage where I wanted to focus more on building up equity. I built up equity in tech by investing in other companies. You know, I've been investing in publicly traded stocks since I was 18 years old. So, you know, I've done that for a long time. But there's something different about investing in other companies and investing in publicly traded companies versus real estate. There are advantages in real estate that are not available to investments made in other types of companies. And we can drill down into that if you like as well.
Well, sure. Go ahead and go ahead and share from your experience benefits of investing in real estate.
Oh, yeah, yeah. One, capital preservation. It's very rare that you're in a deal that just goes completely south and the value of the property is lost 100%, because there are things we do as operators to make sure that doesn't happen, just to protect ourselves. We put insurance in place, for example. You want to make sure that the property is insured to prevent against any natural disasters or catastrophes that could happen. And then the land itself is always going to be worth something. There's always going to be someone who wants the land to build something on it. So it's the odds of it going to zero. I never want to say that it's never going to happen. I try to avoid using the word never, even though I've said the word never about 4 times in the last 30 seconds. But I try to avoid that, especially when talking about investments, because we as humans can only predict so much. So what we try to do is be very meticulous in protecting whatever investment we have in place. And with real estate, a lot of those protections are built in. One, land value just rarely, if ever, goes down to zero. And 2, there's all sorts of insurance you can get to protect yourself against natural disasters or floods or fires or anything like that. And number 3, if you buy the property right, if you buy well-located property, and if you serve your tenants and your residents right, you will always have someone who wants to pay you rent for that property. And I love it especially because you know whether your property is valuable or not. If you're doing commercial real estate, retail, office, industrial, or multifamily, which is what I do, on the first of every month, if you are working in accordance with your business plan, if you are delivering value, because on the first of the month, that's when rent's due. And if your tenants are paying you, that you're doing what you need to do. And if you have good tenants, they'll give you feedback of something that needs to be fixed and you can take care of it. But every 30 days, you get a very clear report as to whether or not your property is value. And that report comes in the form of cash flow. So all of those are reasons why I love real estate as a business, and reasons why I love it as a store of value, and why I love real estate as a way to generate cash.
Excellent. Makes a lot of sense. The benefits are long. And of course, we didn't even touch on the advantages of depreciation and saving on taxes and all that kind of good stuff. Now, there's all kinds of real estate assets. There's single family houses, which I focus on.
Mm-hmm.
There's self-storage, there's land, and then there's multifamily. There's apartments, which is your focus.
Yes.
How did you come to the decision to focus on 50 to 150 unit apartment complexes versus some other type of real estate asset class?
Oh, that's a wonderful question. And the fact that I narrowed my focus to that doesn't mean that I don't like the other asset class. I really do like all the other asset classes you mentioned, from single family to retail. Well, office is a little bit challenging right now for reasons that I can go into later. Office is challenging. You better be doing something crazy creative with office, because people can work from home now, and you better be doing something to truly add value to the office environment. Of course, industrial is wonderful as well. I settled on multifamily, one, because people always need a place to live. No matter what, people always need a place to live. And then I settled on 50 to 150 because that is large enough where you can justify having professional management manage the property for you day to day. And then below 150, it's small enough that you don't get in the arena where you're competing directly against the large private equity firms. I don't want to compete against a BlackRock, or call the name of the large private equity firms. I don't want to compete against them. I want to be in a sweet spot where I can perform well, where my team and where we can deliver very well for our investors, and where we can deliver very well for our residents. And then we all get what we want out of the deal. The residents get a great place to live. The investors get capital preservation, tax advantages, and a solid return on investment. So across the board, everybody wins. And there are ways to do that with other asset classes. I would put it this way. It's important to focus on one thing. Like if I tried to be all things to everybody, I wouldn't serve anybody very well. Like if I tried to do multifamily and single family and retail, I'd be running around trying to be all things to all people. So to me, at least in my experience, having run a tech company for a couple of decades and having done other things in business, there's a big advantage in having you know what, I'll just steal this quote from Charlie Munger, the guy who was Warren Buffett's partner for many years. Charlie Munger says that if you have a circle of competence, it is better for it to be small and tight. It is better for that circle of competence to be small and tightly defined than large and fuzzy. Because if it's small and tightly defined, you can focus and you can really do the best possible work for your investors and for your residents and for your tenants and for all the stakeholders that you're serving. So it's really a matter of, it's an area that I love. That's number one. And number two, based on the advice of Charlie Munger and other people who've been running businesses for thousands of years, there's a big advantage in being small and tightly defined when you choose a focus.
Well, that's a writer downer right there, as I call smart quotations for sure.
Yes.
And I love your reasoning as to why you're focusing on that 50 doors to 150 doors, on apartments. So that makes a lot of sense. So let's dive into the private money, since this is the show titled Raising Private Money. So have you, just to get a point of clarification here, have you used private money, borrowing money from individuals? Have you used that for like the down payments on your deals, and you use institutional money for the bigger part of borrowing it? Or have you used private money for the entire purchase, et cetera? How have you structured private money in your business?
Yes. We bring in private money. We bring in private investors as limited partners in our deals. We structure every one of our deals with a limited liability corporation, an LLC that owns the property. And we split it so that 70% is owned by the LPs and 30% is owned by the GPs. And that's essentially how we split it up. And the private money that comes into our deals, key thing they're looking for is that they want to know that we as operators will be excellent stewards over their money. That's important. A friend of mine, an investor, once said to me, he said, "Ray, when I invest with you, I need to know that you're watching my money very closely and making sure that it travels through that investment as securely as possible." And he went further. I happen to be a scout leader. I'm a scout leader in the troop where I grew up, and I'm a very big fan of the Boy Scouts of America. Boy Scouts of America is where my father and my brother and my mother and I, where we bonded as a family and with other families. Boy Scouts just means a lot to us as a family and to me as an individual. And now as an adult, I get together with some of the guys that I grew up with in the troop. We're leaders now, and we're taking our scouts on trips and that type of thing. But this investor, it was beautiful that he shared this metaphor with me. He said, "I want you to treat my money the same way you treat those scouts on a camping trip." And when we have our scouts on a camping trip, we want to make sure everybody has fun. We go canoeing and rowing and sailing and hiking, and we have campfires, and we do all sorts of things, wilderness survival exercises. People learn first aid. The scouts, age 11 to 18, they learn a lot of life skills. At the same time, as leaders, it is paramount for us to make sure that the scouts get to learn these skills in a safe environment. And so we want to make sure that the money that our investors place with us comes into a safe environment. We're taking that money and we're using it to improve the properties. We're buying these multifamily investment properties, we improve them, and we give people a great place to live. In order to give them a great place to live, many times we have to improve the properties. Property that we have in Tucson that we just closed on a few months ago, we've got solar panels there, because why not save money on electricity? Or if we have a swimming pool there, make sure there's a gate around the swimming pool so that some little kid doesn't fall in the water inadvertently and have a mishap. So it's very important that when we draw this money in, this private money from private investors, when we draw this money in, that we steward that money very carefully, that we watch over it so that it can grow. And that's what we do. So we bring in private money from investors. We form a limited liability corporation. We are partners together, and we are stewards over their money. And that's it in a nutshell. And I can drill down into any of that as you see fit.
Sure. Well, what you just shared, Ray, reminds me of the fact that our private lenders really are not investing in our deals. They're really not. They're secured with that, but they're really not investing in our deals. They're really investing in us as the operator. That's
Yes.
what they're doing. They're
Yes.
investing in. I mean, their trust, their investment really is in you, the operator. That you know what you're doing. So let's get into some of your methods.
Mm-hmm.
What are some of your favorite ways to attract private money and attract new private lenders to come on board with you as a limited partner?
Oh yeah. There's a method, really a 4-step method that we use to attract investors and bring them on board. And this was taught to me by one of my mentors in the business, Hunter Thompson, who runs an organization called Raise Masters. I'm a member of that. And Hunter also has a book about raising capital. And you'll find, if you just Google his name and raising capital or search for his name on Amazon, you'll find his book. But Hunter and his team over at Raise Masters break down 4 steps when we're raising capital: attract, educate, nurture, close. Attract, educate, nurture, close. And really what it comes down to is, one, you want to be attractive to people who want to invest with you. One of the ways you're attractive is through your track record. What have you done before with money that has been invested with you by other people? And if you don't yet have a track record, it makes sense to partner with others who have a track record, so that for your first few deals, you are building up a track record of your own. So you start by partnering with other people, and partnership is really a core value of mine, and we can talk about that as well. Educate. One of the biggest ways we add value to people in this industry is through education, teaching them things that they need to know to be effective and to be successful. And that's something that I love and respect about you, Jay, with everything that you're doing with your podcast and with your speaking and with your events. You are providing education to the community. That is a huge value add, because once that education is given to someone else, it didn't get less valuable in your brain. In fact, I would argue that it probably got more valuable in your brain, because every time we teach something to someone else, it gets reinforced inside of our own brains. And it also became valuable to the people that you taught it to. You bring these people in to your events or in your podcasts or in the other vehicles that you use to educate people, and everybody wins. It's like, I wish I could remember who said this, but if you have a candle and it's lit and you use your candle to light someone else's candle, your flame doesn't get diminished and their flame ignites, and everybody has flames. So that is the wonderful thing about education right there. And the 3rd step, nurture, which is really more education. Education, nurture, those tie together. That's more education, where you're taking them deeper, where you're building the relationship over time, where you're demonstrating to them that even if they don't have an interest in investing in you today, you care enough about them and what they're doing to provide them with more education or connections or events or podcasts or video education or something like that, where you continue to add value. You nurture the relationship by adding value to the relationship. And then when you get to the close at the end, I've had people say to me, it's almost been a surprise. I've been at lunch or dinner with somebody, and we're just talking about everything all over God's green earth. We're talking about real estate, or we're talking about, raising kids or investments or something, or anything else in the world. And then we get up to leave, and one of the guys says, "Oh, by the way, I want to put $100,000 into that deal that you just were promoting." And I never mentioned the deal during the meal at all, And so that's where the way it works. If you do attract, educate, and nurture well, and if you do it with a spirit of giving, where you're providing to people, the close really takes care of itself. You don't have to oh, you use the closes that are in some of the sales books that are out there, the different tactics or whatever. The close takes care of itself, because as you said, Jay, we're not just selling the deal. Well, we're selling the deal a little bit, but more we're selling ourselves. We're selling ourselves as capable captains of the ship, as capable stewards, as people who are stewarding their money through this vehicle, this investment that we're offering. And so the close with the investors that I've brought on board, it mostly takes care of itself.
I tell you what, Ray, you just went over so many nuggets right there that I want to unpack a few of them and
Yes,
recap.
sir. All right.
First of all, one reason that you and I connected so well when I was on your show was this piece on education.
Yes.
I tell people, I've got 47 private lenders right now. Not one of them had ever heard of private money or how they could use self-directed IRAs or any of that stuff until, and you'll remember this, Ray, until I put on my teacher hat.
Yes,
right?
yeah.
Until I put on my teacher hat. And started teaching them about what private money is and how they can get high rates of return. So you're so spot on with the education and the nurturing. And then you just said a phrase that is a writer downer. And that phrase is, you said the close takes care of itself. Well, that's the same thing I say all the time. I don't have to ask. For example, I was having lunch this past Sunday a week ago with a good friend of mine. He lives out in Texas. He grew up here in North Carolina. He was visiting. We were raised in the same church. And so anyway, we're eating fried chicken and pork barbecue and coleslaw and baked beans and extra sweet tea, of course, being here in the South. And so after we've been catching up a little bit and all this and that, he's getting ready to leave. And it was a by the way thing. He said, by the way, Jay, on your private money deal that you got there, how soon could you put $300,000 to work? Well, you see, I never brought up private money at lunch.
Yes,
he knew what I do. I mean,
yes.
I had sent him information that he requested on my program. I wasn't sending him particular information about a deal. And so that's such a huge takeaway lesson from this little story here, Ray, that you're sharing, because whenever I have felt like I'm pushing or I'm got on my selling hat or I'm trying to, then they push back. They push me back. Right. And so as long as I have the mindset of it's okay if you don't invest, there's a lot more money out there that I can use anyway. Right. So it's okay. It's okay if you don't invest.
Yes.
And I sort of got like this picture in my mind of when I'm teaching the program, I'm just sharing facts. It's just sort of a fact of the matter thing. Of course, I'm gonna point out benefits but I've got this picture in my mind that I got 1 foot out the door getting ready to leave anyway. Right?
Sure.
And it's okay. So given what I just said, how important, so it's a 2-part question.
Okay.
All
right.
I'll do part 1 first, then I'll do part 2. Part 1 of the question is, as a capital raiser, how important is your mindset? Put aside the strategies, put aside the techniques. Just how important is your mindset? And what I mean by mindset is your outlook on this thing. You know what I mean by mindset.
Yes. Oh, yeah. I think it is extremely important. And I'm glad you brought it up. Your mindset governs how you see things. It governs what you say. It governs how you interact with people. And I think your mindset even governs the vibe you give off with other people. And have you ever been with somebody, I'm sure you have, where you just click and you have a good rapport and good vibe, and you know that's a person that you want to do business with or trust or whatever, and then somebody else, you don't feel that same vibe or rapport. And I think a big part of that vibe and rapport comes from the mindset of the people who are there and how they're interacting with each other. There's some people who have, well, let's just look at one. Some people have an abundance mindset, and some people have a scarcity mindset. And the abundance mindset is so powerful. Yeah, you're a man with an abundance mindset, because you know that no matter how many people you teach what you teach, no matter how many people learn what you have to teach, there will always be more opportunities for all of you. But someone with a scarcity mindset might say, oh, I don't want to share these secret gems because they might take my secrets and there will be nothing left over for me. But if you have an abundance mindset, you realize that when we are in, and I'm also a big fan of capitalism, right? And if you have an abundant capitalistic mindset, and with healthy capitalism, capitalism can be practiced incorrectly, but with healthy capitalism, you know that when we do business together, 1 + 1 doesn't just equal 2. 1 + 1 can equal 4 or 8 or 16 or 128 or 256, because you come together. If you have the right abundance mindset, you know that when you combine your forces, you can achieve things that neither one of you could do as individuals. And mindset is important. And mindset generates or informs partnership. 2 of my key partners are 2 guys, Adrian Diaz and Colby Fryer. We work together very hard on our deals, and there are things that I've been able to achieve working with Colby and Adrian that I never would have been able to achieve as an individual, because those guys they have skills that complement mine. We complement each other. We tell each other the truth, in love and respect. We don't always agree, but we put our heads together and we figure stuff out. We disagreed about something yesterday, and we just worked through it. That's just what it is. That's how we do it. And as a result, because we see things from different perspectives, we as a team are much stronger. And it's because of them I've been able to focus in the areas that I focus. They focus where they are, and together as a team, we're able to achieve more. We're able to acquire more. We're able to sift more properties. We're able to bring in other capital raisers to help us raise even more money. So that's what I think about mindset. A very long answer to your question.
No. You just threw a lot of very valuable nuggets there. And so one thing you said that is so important is, let's just recap the mindset. You used the word abundance. One thing you said I want to underscore is you said your mindset filters, maybe that's my word, but that's what I heard you say, filters everything. It affects how you see everything.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely. Yes.
So the types of mindset that I've heard you talk about, either specifically or reference, abundant mindset. You're an educator. So you've got the mindset that mindset is how you view yourself to begin with.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that is what it is. It's how you view and how you view everybody else. But so you got an abundant mindset. You're an educator. You're leading with a servant's heart. So there's another mindset you have. You are a servant. You're a servant. Yes. And that's why I've been able, and you've been able to raise so much private money, is that when I'm visiting with somebody new, a new potential private lender that might be interested in, coming on board and working with me, the way I'm viewing them, my mindset towards them is, I've got something that I know can probably impact you and your family's livelihood and make a difference in your life. And, as a result of that, Carol Joy, my wife, and I, we've received thank you notes in the mail, hugs, and expressions of thank you of how we've impacted people's retirement years. And so, as you say, it's win-win scenario for everybody. Ray, I know my audience wants to connect with you. I know you've got a capital fund where you have partners come in and invest with you on your deals. So let me just open up to you. What type of people or who would you like to connect with you, either on the fundraising or any other ways that you can serve my audience?
Sure, sure. We work really well with people who have an abundance mindset. We're not just after anybody who wants to put money into what we do. One of my scouts, kid about 14 years old, after I sold my tech company, asked me, "Would you have sold your company to someone you didn't like for $1 billion?" And I had to think about it. That's a really good question for a kid to ask, right? And what I shared with him is, you got to think very carefully about who you do business with. Just because they have a lot of money to invest with you or work with you, that might not be the money that you want. So we're looking to partner and to collaborate with people who have an abundance mindset. Of course, there are people who want capital preservation, tax advantages, and a solid ROI, but it's very helpful when they understand what our mission is. We buy multifamily apartment properties, we improve them, and we give people a great place to live. And we get capital preservation, tax advantages, and a solid ROI. It's really good when they understand how those missions come together, because we believe that when you deliver great service to people, great service to your tenants or residents or whatever, everybody wins. So it helps when they do that. So really, we're looking to partner with people, mostly accredited investors. We have some deals available for non-accredited investors. If you want to know details about that, you can reach out to me via rayhightower.com or ROIClear.com. Glad to talk to you there. And, let's have a conversation. You can review what we're doing deal-wise at ROIClear.com. You can review what we've done business-wise and tech-wise at rayhightower.com. And through both of those vehicles, you can reach out to me and we can have a conversation if you think it makes sense to have a conversation.
So check out rayhightower.com. That's www.ray for Ray, RAY, Hightower, HIGH, Tower, TOWER.com. Of course, we'll have these in the show notes. And then at www.ROIClear, CLEAR.com. My lands, Ray, what a blessing it's been to have you on the show.
Yes.
I love your inspiration. I love your energy. I love your spirit. Final words, my friend.
Final words, really gratitude. Jay, thanks for having me here, man. I know you're doing a lot of work in the community, a lot of good work in the community. You have an abundance mindset, and it has been a blessing and an honor to be here with you. So thank you for that. And I'm just wishing you and everybody in your family and on your team and your students and your collaborators, I wish all of you well. So final words, that's it.
God bless you, Ray. And to you in the audience, God bless you and thank you for taking time to join us here on another amazing episode of Raising Private Money. If you're listening on one of the podcast platforms, be sure to follow me so you don't miss out. Be sure to review and like as well. And if you happen to be watching on YouTube, be sure and subscribe and click that bell. I look forward to seeing you right here on the next episode of Raising Private Money.
Are you feeling inspired by the knowledge you gained in this episode? Then head over to jconner.com/moneyguide. That's jconner.com/moneyguide and download your free guide that shares 7 reasons why private money will skyrocket your real estate investing business right now. Again, that's jconner.com/moneyguide to get your free guide. We'll see you next time on Raising Private Money with Jay Conner.